Hi guys, I'm Shmi, hello and welcome back to the channel where today we are taking a first look at the new Lamborghini Urus Performante. The Performante badge that we know from the Gallardo and the Huracan, the even sportier, even more supercar-esque version, in this case on Lamborghini's super SUV, the Urus. That means it is lower with new suspension and dampers, it is wider, a new track, carbon fiber bodywork found all around, new wheels, spoiler back here, titanium exhaust, some new modes on the inside and plenty that we're going to go through in detail. And I'm currently without an SUV in the garage. Could this be the one? The Urus Performante? Been interested in it for a while. It's a follow-up, of course, to the immense success that Lamborghini have had with the Urus since its introduction a few years ago. But today, let's have a full first look and go through the new Urus Performante in detail. We've got a lot to talk about when it comes to the new Urus Performante. We're going to go through all of the updates and changes that have gone into this car. From the exterior side of things, we've got the visual changes, the design, but all of the aerodynamics as well. We've got extensive use of carbon fiber, the visual parts, but also the bonnet, plus the optional carbon fiber roof. We'll go through the technical things also, like the facts and figures behind it, the updates to the powertrain and the suspension, and talk about the things that might not initially meet the eye on a car that I think is going to be really quite popular. Now, if we rewind back, the first concept of Lamborghini's SUV, after of course the LM002 from back in the past, was shown over a decade ago. It was 10.5 years ago, in April 2012, when they pulled off the wraps of a car that really looks quite familiar to this. In fact, the Urus was introduced, its full official market introduction, just shy of 5 years ago, and since then they have sold over 20,000 units, a game changer for Lamborghini, a hugely popular model, and in fact massively expanded capacity, even with the new assembly hall, which we're actually above right now. And stay tuned, we might have a sneak peek through the curtains a little bit later on. We're upstairs above the assembly line. But this car is the Performante. Now, what's in a name? Back with the Gallardo, which was the first V10 baby supercar, you could say, in the Lamborghini lineup, they had the Superleggera, which was the more hardcore coupe, but for the Spider, they named it the Gallardo Performante. Since then, we've had the Huracan and the Performante version of that, which was the more hardcore, both coupe and Spider, but this time around, it's carried through to the SUV as well, the Super SUV, the SSUV if you would like. And in fact, the Urus Performante has set a record SUV time up the famous Pikes Peak hill climb in the USA in Colorado of 10 minutes 32 seconds, proving that this is a pretty capable beast. Now, we need to go through all of this in full. I suspect we'll start at the front, make our way around, then check out the interior and the engine as well. Visually, there are quite a few changes, so let's run through all of these in terms of the design, the aero, plus the use of materials. And this particular example of the Urus Performante in the Verde Viper, the Viper green, looks spectacular, especially with all of the contrast of the carbon fiber. Now, starting from the very front, you'll notice these new flicks that come up towards the grille, I think inspired by the Aventador S. They've also changed the shape of the leading edge, which typically would run around here, introducing these new lines which just give it a slightly more aggressive, slightly sportier appearance. As we come further down, you have all of the openings here for the cooling through towards the radiators, and we'll have a look in the engine bay in a moment, plus things like your adaptive sensors for the cruise control. Then you have all of the exposed carbon fiber, and there is so much to this car. The front splitter sections, the wheel arches, the side skirts, the mirrors, the roof, the spoiler, the diffuser and the bumper at the back. We'll go through all of that, but even the painted sections, like the bonnet, where they've left these louvres exposed, again, just enhancing the look of the car. It's a touch wider. The track is increased by 16 millimeters, hence you have these new carbon fiber arches running over all four corners. As we come around towards the side of the car, we've got the new spoiler back here, contributing to an 8% total increase in the downforce. And in fact, the spoiler itself has increased by 38%, the downforce versus the regular Urus. As we come down towards the back, that lip spoiler, the bumper, the diffuser, and a new exhaust system here. The Akrapovic Sports titanium exhaust system, all contributing to a total weight loss in the Performante of 47 kilos, down to 2,150 kilos from the 2,197 before. It's also sitting 20 millimeters lower, 2 centimeters lower than before. They've changed the air suspension that it used to have for a new steel spring setup to give it this sportier drive. Plus, as we come and have a look at the wheels, we've got the optional 23-inch wheels here. 22-inch wheels come as standard. These are shod in the Pirelli P0 tyre, the standard tyre, but it's also available with a Trofeo R, which is the semi-slick you normally associate with being found on hypercars. We have titanium lug nuts in here. We have the carbon ceramic brakes included as standard as well. Plenty of other details that go into the visual side of things, as you can see, just changes pretty much wherever you look, but maintaining that very sporty SUV format, the 5-door effectively, with this full carbon rear end. Really quite spectacular, the amount of carbon if you're into that side of things. Let's come and take a look inside the Urus Performante. There have been some more changes in here. Notably, you will immediately spot the use of Alcantara throughout. The Alcantara steering wheel, the Alcantara on the new sportier seats, and the design with the inlays that you have here as well, plus a change in the driving modes. So let me take a step inside. I'll start running you through a little bit more of what we actually have inside here. If you are familiar with the Lamborghini Urus, you will recognize most of this by way of the interior, but there have been some changes. As I mentioned, the Alcantara that we have here for the hand grip sections of the steering wheel. We've got the nice painted 12 o'clock marker up towards the top, and still the leather for the other sections as well. But also the Tamburo now has new settings. So this is where you choose your different drive modes. You go down between them, or you pull and hold to jump back to Strada. So we still have Strada Sport and Corsa, as you find on most Lamborghini models, but in place of the additional off-road settings where you had snow and dirt and sand and those kind of things, we now have Rally. Now Rally is about going very fast across dirt tracks, keeping the suspension low. Of course, we don't have the air suspension, but allowing a little bit of slip for maximum performance. Now to wake it up quickly, pop up the flap just there, press the start button. We have new Urus Performante graphics. We have the welcome sound, all of the digital displays, both for the dashboard, all for the dashboard, the infotainment, plus your climate control settings here as well, with your selector for reverse. You've got the shift paddles on the back of the steering wheel for that 8-speed gearbox, but there's a lot of Alcantara in here. The dashboard with the contrast stitching, the lower section here behind the Lamborghini badge, all of the carbon fiber, this satin finished carbon fiber throughout the central console area, the new look to the seats with the Performante embroidery there to the sides as well, the Lamborghini crest up on the headrest, the armrest in Alcantara, all very, very nicely presented. The newer style key, they had an updated key on the Urus a short way into its lifespan. That's the newer key design that it comes with, and a car that I think ticks a lot of boxes. It's got all of the technology that you could want from it, but also the sporty side of things as well. Now I'm going to give this button a little press right here, foot on the brake. Sounds nice on the cold start with the V8, and this is where, as I said, you can go down through these different drive modes. This is brand new, not fully set up yet, as you can see, but we can go down into Corsa, or we can go into Rally. In Rally mode, you get various different charts, like your angles and how you're driving, what's going on, and also here in the main multimedia as well, you can set this up completely and have a series of different displays to show you what's actually happening. The Anima settings in here, even with Ego, where you can configure it yourself and have that exactly how you would like it. Your assistance, of course, we're all in Italian here at the moment, as we are here at the Lamborghini factory itself, where these very cars are built and assembled. We've come to the end of the cold start cycle. You can independently change your four-wheel drive system, the dynamic steering, which is sharpened, as is the pedal feel, and your suspension here. You've got the controls for all of that. Given we're indoors, I'm just going to switch that off for now, and then this is your selector to go straight into the Ego mode. Obviously the steering wheel gives a very sporty feel, especially with those shift paddles on the back. The carbon trim continues through the Alcantara door card, plenty of storage spaces, the nice Bang & Olufsen sound system with the tweeters that rise up out of the dashboard as soon as you start the car up. Just very, very nicely presented all around. I want to show you also into the back of the car, the amount of space that we have back here too. Same theme continues. Notice the same level of quality, the full Alcantara backs of the seats, really quite like that. And then back here we've got the 3-seat configuration, headrests again with the embroideries and all of the details that we've seen up front. Plus we also have soft close all around. The doors will tuck themselves in nicely, smoothly. Those extra details Nice bit of carbon there just for the B pillars. If we come around towards the boot, the luggage space, the trunk, powerful tailgate, open that up. Back here, it continues the rails for your storage nets, whatever it might be that you want to pop back here. The parcel shelf up top that you can slide out. But again, finished in Alcantara with that stitching running around. Some very, very nice details and a very practical Lamborghini with the amount of luggage space that it actually offers back there. Let's come through to take a look at the engine. So we've got the lever just down here, driver's side. Look at the details as well down on the pedal set. Also, I didn't mention we've got the new black anodized inlays as opposed to the regular silver that you found before. But if we come round, of course, this is where we have our full carbon bonnet. Flick that, pop it open. Not too much to see on that side of it, but you can see the exposed weave of the carbon that's used for the bonnet itself. So we've got the 4-litre twin turbocharged V8. Horsepower is up from the standard 650 to 666. Yes, the number of the beast, 657 brake horsepower. If you'd like to go that way, 850 Newton meters as before. So no change on the torque front, still with that 8-speed auto gearbox, permanent all-wheel drive, but shortened acceleration times. As I said, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour is now only 3.3 seconds, and it will go to a top speed of 306 kilometers an hour, 190 miles per hour. That's actually 1 kilometer an hour faster than the regular Urus. But of course, the idea is that you can do that on the gravel, on the dirt, off-road, wherever you might be, having fun with it, especially if you're on the right tyres for the occasion, making this car even sportier than ever before. We'll just shut this back down into place. You still maintain all of these familiar Lamborghini shapes like the Y, the Ypsilon inside the headlight. Spot the Lamborghini Technica LED badging that you have just inside there as well. All of the technology that you would expect with a comfortable, usable machine of this kind of nature. It's really quite interesting to look at each of the individual weight savings and see how they all add up. For example, the titanium bolts that I mentioned, the full set of the titanium bolts actually goes to a 1.3 kilogram saving, which is probably more than I would have expected. That's your unsprung mass along with the wheels and tires, which actually with the lightweight options save another 6.3 kilos. Then you get to the suspension with the fixed steel springs as opposed to the air suspension. That's 13.6 kilos. The exhaust system, having this Akrapovic titanium exhaust, is 10.4 kilos lighter than the standard system. Then we get to soundproofing. Now, taking out some soundproofing might save some weight, but to you and I, it also means inside you're going to hear even more of that exhaust burble, which is exactly what you want. But even that is 3.1 kilos as it happens. Then you have all of the exterior materials and plenty of other things that go into this total cumulative 47 kilogram saving. Now, I'm not going to pretend on a 2,200 kilo car you're going to notice 47 kilos of weight saved, but obviously it's good to go to those extents to make it a touch more dynamic and to have all of these extra features and just the technology and what it is capable of and what it does do and what it does offer, which you get in this upgraded package with the Urus Performante. This is where we are in the most fantastic location, taking a look at the new Urus Performante as the curtains open to reveal the Urus Assembly Hall. This was built here at Lamborghini's HQ in Sant'agata Bolognese a couple of years ago for the production of the Lamborghini Urus, and we can see the colourful SUVs making their way through the assembly hall, where in not all that long the customer cars of the Urus Performante are going to be joining them to be assembled, to be manufactured, and ultimately being shipped out to the clients around the world. It's crazy to think that in effectively about 4 years of production, Lamborghini have manufactured over 20,000 of these. For some perspective, the Aventador is more than twice the age, and they've built a bit over half the number, so 4 times the rate. That's how popular the Urus has been, and that's how popular I imagine the Urus Performante is going to be. Obviously the segment has evolved. If you rewind back, it was when Porsche introduced the Cayenne. That was a huge change for the brand that enabled them to go on making the cars that petrol heads, people like myself, absolutely love. And I think for Lamborghini, that's been a big part of it with this, as we look towards the next generation V12 supercar, as we look at other derivatives of the V10s, perhaps of this kind of nature as well, if the spy shots are anything to go by, but this is going to be hugely popular. As I've said, I think it suits bright colours very well, given you have the smaller areas of body colour with all of the contrast against the gloss black of the carbon fibre, which I'm sure that you could also opt to have in satin. You can go through ad personam, you can create all kinds of liveries, options, unique paints, different options, everything that you can imagine really for a car like this. And I look forward to getting behind the wheel. I've been lucky to drive the regular Urus on a number of occasions, including on track, and see many of them out in California, in the Middle East, areas where you would expect this kind of thing to be hugely popular, and they certainly are. And this, I think, will just take that formula, refine it even further, enhance it even further, and give you something that's probably really quite fun, and I imagine with that soundtrack, sound the part as well. So today we have had a full first look at the new Urus Performante, certainly something for me to contemplate and consider a little bit further. Perhaps I should hear some of your feedback on that one as well. But I hope you've enjoyed this visit to the home of Lamborghini to take a look at this, to talk all about it. So thank you very much for watching. That is it for now, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.